So last September, President Trump rescinded the DACA program. And since that time, nearly 20,000 DACA recipients have lost their status. That number continues to grow. I've posted this sign outside my office so my colleagues can see that 122 Dreamers are losing their status every single day. But this chart cannot begin to tell the story of the impact that this arbitrary decision has had on Dreamers' lives. Over the past year, I've held roundtables with Dreamers throughout Nevada. I've wanted to hear their concerns, listen to their stories, and make sure that they know their rights. Dreamers are not charts or numbers. They're people. And Mr. President, they're amazing. They are putting themselves through school, they're studying hard, they're serving in our communities, our churches, and our military, all while working multiple jobs to support their families. In meeting with them, I've learned they are their own best advocates. Dreamers deserve the chance to speak for themselves. They deserve better than to be used as pawns in a cynical game. They should not be forced to choose between achieving protection in the only country they've ever known and seeing their families attacked with arbitrary and cruel cuts to family unification and the diversity visa programs. I am tired of seeing the White House pit people against one another. Tonight and this week, Congress is about to determine the futures of these patriotic young men and women. Before we begin this debate, we need to take a few moments to understand who they are, what they are doing for our country, and what the consequences will be if we fail them. I want to read a few of the letters that they sent me. Listen to this letter from Heavy. He is a freshman at Nevada State College. Heavy said, "I was born in Mexico in March 1998 and was brought to the United States when I was 6 months old. I recently started my freshman year at Nevada State College. I am majoring in business administration in the hope that I can open a small family restaurant someday. I have grown up in Las Vegas my entire life. It's the city I know, the city that raised me. It is my home, my only home." And listen to this letter from Maggie. She wrote, "I came to the United States when I was 10 years old. I faced language barriers when I started elementary school, but I quickly learned English and excelled as a student. I graduated from high school in 2007 with $20,000 in academic scholarships, but couldn't use them because I was undocumented. After receiving deferred action for childhood arrivals in June of 2013, I was able to begin working as a healthcare enrollment counselor for Nevada HealthLink. In January 2014, I was accepted to the University of Nevada, Reno, my alma mater, where I continued working to help people access affordable healthcare while going to school full-time." That was Maggie. That was her letter to me. And then listen to Francisco, his letter to me. "My story is very much like others in this country. I am one of the 1.5 million undocumented children that were brought to the United States as minors by their parents. On September 17, 2012, I applied for deferred action, hoping to be granted a work permit. Around that same time, I learned that I had been admitted to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. On November 5th, my work permit arrived. My family and I came to tears upon learning the news. I quickly looked for a job so that I would be able to enroll and start paying for my school." That's Francisco. And here from Anna. She wrote, "I came to the United States with my family from the Philippines at the age of 7. My father left our family in 2001 and our visas expired soon after. I graduated from Centennial High School in 2008 and started nursing school at the College of Southern Nevada. I graduated in 2012 and received my DACA acceptance a year later. I am currently going on my 3rd year working at University Medical Center as a pediatric ICU nurse." These are only 4 of the stories that I've heard from Dreamers, and there are hundreds of thousands more just like them. And I want to point out, just recently, I received a batch of 32 letters from 7th graders at Bailey Middle School in Las Vegas. And their concerns to a T, every single one of these 7th graders was the same thing. Clarissa, one of these seventh graders, wrote, "I would like to change Trump's decision and let the DACA program stay so immigrants get to have the life they had before. My family and friends are all I have in my life. I don't want to see them go because they can't go to school or get a job. Thank you." That was Clarissa. And we also have Andrea G. "President Trump's decision affects my family and people I know and the community. It affects my family because my two older siblings were brought here when they were just babies. It affects people I know because some of my other family members were brought here as babies. I hope President Trump does not end DACA. Thank you." To a T, Mr. President, all of these letters, all of the information, and all of the people that I've met with, both here in the Capitol and in Nevada, these dreamers are incredible people, incredible individuals that are contributing to our communities. When you hear these stories, you see that this fight is not about charts and numbers or political leverage. This fight is not even about individuals. It's about entire communities. It's not just about what will happen to Heidi and Maggie and Francisco and Anna and all of those families that are connected somehow to those kids at Bailey Middle School. It's about what will happen to their customers, these students, their patients, their employers, their parents, their families, and their friends. You see, Mr. President, dreamers are our first responders. They serve in our military. They drive our ambulances, and they pray with us in church. They are on the front lines, teaching our kids and defending our country. What happens when they're not here anymore? The debate over immigration in this country has focused for too long on misconceptions and stereotypes. Immigrants are not taking our jobs, they're creating them. They're not causing crime, they're putting their lives on the line to fight it. What do we gain by deporting them? What do we gain when Maggie and Francisco are forced to drop out of school? How do we gain when Anna can't go back to work in the pediatric ICU? Heavy has no memory of the country where he was born. He spent only the first 6 months of his life there. What do we gain when we send him back? Living in a community means depending on the people around you. It means having neighbors you can turn to in times of need. I tell you, Mr. President, dreamers, they're our neighbors. This is their time of need. I'd urge my colleagues, understand who dreamers really are. Don't pit kids against parents or neighbors against neighbors. This is bigger than partisan politics. It's about human lives. It is time to fight for these families and keeping these families together who are an integral part of our communities. I know many of my colleagues support the DREAM Act and reasonable border security measures. Let's get through the finish line. The American people are watching us, and 80% of them want us to help dreamers. Dreamers belong here. Dreamers are American, and this is our chance to do what is right. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.